Here's the audience. So I have been somebody for most of my life who struggled with having a very high screen time. I think right now my screen time is usually on average about 6 hours a day, which is not good, but it used to be in like the double digits. So one of my goals with shortening that is I know that I can't fully get rid of it because that's just unrealistic. I'm not just like gonna not go on my phone or my computer, but I can shorten it and also make sure that I'm watching longer form content that's like of value to me. And one such creator is under the YouTube channel Horses. And this content creator like makes videos on a wide array of topics that are very well researched, so I feel like they're of value to me. And also it connects me to other people, both past and present. And lastly, it leaves me like with a sense of hope and tranquility at the end of it, so I'm not just like left feeling like guilty or bad afterwards like with other things that I watch. The private content platform 7aqui describes Horses as a channel that makes video essays on both historical and philosophical topics, and also usually has a visual aspect to it. So he usually puts like photos behind what he's saying, which is why I personally prefer YouTube as my platform that I watch him on. He also posts on iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other platforms like that. But with YouTube, I can like actually watch it. Also, I watch YouTube a lot, so. The first video that I ever watched on his platform was entitled Nero, the Monster of Rome, where Michael Sorensen, who writes the video essays, he basically describes the story of Nero that I'm used to hearing in school, and I think a lot of us are, where basically he was crazy, he killed people, he was a tyrant, which may be true, but also Michael Sorensen kind of showed that he did a lot more research than just that story that I've been told, where he shows like that might not be accurate because the people who wrote the history at the time could have profited from like showing him like that, which I just thought was interesting because it just showed that he like really knew what he was talking about. He wasn't just trying to regurgitate what other people have said about the topic. In addition, he also, in a different video entitled What is Fascism, tried to define the concept of fascism, which is very hard to do. So even just like attempting to do that is, you have to like know what you're talking about. And he gave like a bulleted like list of trying to describe that, and it's a very loaded topic. In addition to just like giving very informative videos that I think are important, I guess also I just prefer the topics of like history and philosophy, but I think that they're important in general. He also, through his work, like connects me to other people. So for example, his video entitled The Paintings You Weren't Supposed to See talks about the Black paintings by Francisco de Goya, and it was one of the first topics that kind of connected me to my boyfriend. We kind of talked about how we really like the paintings, and then we talked about, oh, I saw this really cool YouTube video. Oh, I saw this really cool YouTube video, and then it was the same one, so we were able to connect through that and how it really spoke to us. And so that's like in the present, it connects me to people, but also in the past, he talks about a lot of historical figures and events. And I think it's pretty common to like think about people in the past, even like 200 years ago. Like they're kind of like a different species, like they're stupider or they're more violent, or like somehow we're like superior, which technologically we are, but also it's like the information given in these videos is like, if you had the same situation as them, would you do anything differently? What would you do? And it kind of just has transformed the way that I think about people in general, and especially like in the past where I'm like, they're me and I'm them. And it just kind of, as somebody who likes history, makes me take in the information in like a completely different way. In addition to being very well researched and informative videos, and also connecting me to other people, in addition, they leave me with a sense of like hope afterwards. Obviously with a lot of the topics that I've presented, they've been kind of dark, and usually they do have to do with like poverty or death, or in one specific instance he makes a video about cannibalism. So it's a lot of like very dark topics, but they don't leave me feeling like bad or hopeless afterwards. One specific video that he uploaded was called The Death and Perfect Resurrection of Hope, where he talks about like we're all born with like this sense of like childlike hope, and then when we learn more about these darker topics, we lose it, and we kind of have to create our own hope to like have meaning in our lives, because otherwise it's like, what's the point of anything if everything's bad? And like in addition, like with the videos that I've talked about like prior, like the one on the black paintings and also like fascism, like those are huge events where it's like the black paintings were about like a very brutalist government, and also like fascism is a very like brutalist government, and it's kind of like that's like the epitome of like people valuing power over humanity, yet he turns in and is like all is not lost because we're able to move past that. And so I just think like with all of his videos, it's very common with content creators to find the easy way out of like, how do I get views? I make people feel a very strong emotion. Usually the easiest one to do is like anger or hate. And also like you divide people because you're able to like kind of cultivate that by having like us versus them. And I think he goes against that, and he basically says like, he's not saying like, oh, those things don't exist, they do, but instead it's like, you don't have to like lose all hope when you're discussing those. So I just thought that he was somebody to tribute. So, and here's my audience again.
Thank you.